Hello, my LA9 students. Mr. Guyette here. It is Tuesday, April 21st, and I'm going to have you read chapters 1 through 3 in the Frankenstein abridged version novel. The assignment for yesterday, you read the introductory letters, and so you found out that the first narrator is a man who is on his way. We only know him as R. Walton or Mr. Walton, and he is on his way to the North Pole because he wants to be the first person ever to get to the North Pole. So he has accumulated a group of men, and they are going to sail for the North Pole. And then on his way to the North Pole, he sees two different people with hundreds of miles off of England, away from England. The first one is a large man and on a dog sled, and he doesn't see him again. But then he picks up a second man who's on another dog sled, who's on a patch of ice, and he brings him aboard. And then he ends up talking to him, and the man is very tired and kind of out of it. And then he finds out that he's very kind of sad and lonely, and they kind of share a love of science. And then he's going to start telling his story. And so where we start today is chapter 1, and the man whom he picked up is going to start telling his story, and he picked up Dr. Frankenstein. So, chapter 1. My name is Victor Frankenstein. I grew up in Geneva, Switzerland. My family is one of the best known families in Switzerland. For many years, members of my family held public office. My father was famous for his public service. So Dr. Frankenstein here is talking to Mr. Walton aboard the ship. Perhaps I should tell you about how my father and mother met. One of my father's friends was a rich businessman. Once, a deal this man worked on went bad, but he kept his word to all the people who trusted him. He paid off everyone who had lost money, but he was left without a cent. He and his daughter became very poor. They had to move away from the city of Geneva. My father heard that his friend had fallen on hard times. He went to visit him, and when he saw the way his friend and his daughter were living, my father's heart almost broke. He offered help, but his friend was very proud. He refused any help. He was ill. The only money he had came from small jobs his daughter did for the people in town. When she wasn't working, the young woman spent most of her time taking care of her sick father. Sorry about my cat there, it's kind of meowing a little bit. My father heard that his friend was dying. My father again wanted to help. He went to visit his friend. He found the girl crying over her dead father's body. My father didn't want to see his old friend's daughter left out on the street. He took care of her, and 2 years later, they were married. After the wedding, my father and mother traveled to many countries. Perhaps it was the years of being poor that did it, but my mother's health was not good. For this reason, they spent a lot of time in the warm weather of Italy. I was born in Italy on one of their vacations. For years, I was their only child. I remember that those years were very happy. My father and mother loved each other very much, but there was enough love for me, their only son. When I was 5 years old, my parents took another vacation to Italy. Because my mother was always interested in helping the poor, they visited a little hut on the shore of a lake. There, they found a poor farmer and his wife. The family had no money and very little food for their 5 children. One of the children, a little girl, caught my mother's eye. This girl wasn't like the other children. She seemed different in little ways. There was a sweetness to the child that drew my mother to her, and so she asked the farmer about this little girl. The little girl's name was Elizabeth. And through the rest of chapter 1, and then through the stuff you're going to read today, you're going to kind of find out a little bit about Dr. Frankenstein's early years and kind of who his family, and then you'll have to connect that to some of the events that are going to go on later on. So again, Mr. Walton narrated the first letters, and then Dr. Frankenstein, whom he picked up onto the ship, is now kind of telling Mr. Walton his story. Finish for tomorrow, finish chapters 1 through 3, answer a few questions in the Google Classroom, and enjoy the storyline. And have a great day. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you later.